All right, Kevin, back with you for another installment on the Million Dollar Relationships podcast. And today I am here with my friend Justin Brooke. Justin, welcome, man. You are looking awesome, dude.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I'm on fire, man. I'm good. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, and what's so cool about this is, like, it's not like you and I are like the closest of friends who talk all the damn time. We don't. Hardly all ever. In fact, I remember a couple of years back, I was doing this event in Texas, and you were kind of like thinking about going. Oh, me and Shauna might be down there around that time, what I do remember distinctly talking about is you're like, Kev, I'm not a big event guy, man. I'm just kind of a quiet, I just like, small group maybe, but we never got you there, but we had a great conversation anyways. I know I was talking with you right before we hit the record button here, and the first time you and I met was at a traffic and conversion summit down in California back in like 2013. I had gone there, and there was some kind of off-site get together that was happening at this place, and I had gone over there with my buddy Jesse Elder. And you and Shauna had come over there. And I remember standing in the living room of that home, just getting to know you guys a little bit. And you were talking about Facebook and some of the stuff you were doing. And of course, I'm just like, not being a Facebook guy, I would just like, holy shit, he's doing some amazing stuff on Facebook. So that's kind of how we met. And I'm just really, you're just one of these guys, Justin, that is just like this down-to-earth guy who you definitely got a skill set. You got a skill set, you got a gift, you have been able to use it to impact a lot of lives, not just the lives of the people you directly work with, but the lives of a whole lot of people because of who you work with. And so I am really excited to have this conversation with you today. And what we'll do is we'll just kind of start with you sharing a little bit about, what you do, who you serve, what motivates you to do what you do. Just give people some context on, like, who is Justin Brooke?
Sure. So I'll give you the super fast version. We can dig into any areas you want to.
Okay. Got
started in 2007. Interned with Russell Brunson back before he was the ClickFunnels guy, but he was still an internet millionaire. And my job as an intern was to study this closet of courses he had. There was $250,000 worth of courses, seminar footage, VHS tapes. I got to study Joe Polish, Chet Holmes, Stephen Pierce, Dan Kennedy, the best of the best of the best were in there. So I got the education of a lifetime, and my job as an interview was to write affiliate reviews of these products so he could make his money back on all those courses. And so the one course that really stuck out to me, for whatever reason, it was about Google Ads, because for me, advertising had always been like, phone book, newspaper, TV, billboards, stuff that you had to ask permission for, you had to spend a lot of money on. But here comes Google Ads. It was actually a John Barker course, John Barker Google Ads course, a long time ago. And so Google Ads, here comes something that's like in my home for $100. I don't have to ask anybody permission. I can advertise to the world. And it changed my whole paradigm on what I believed advertising could be. And it was an unpaid internship. I love you, Russ, but I got the education of a lifetime. But that is what I went home with, was the education of a lifetime. Went home, told my wife everything I learned, told her I wanted to start advertising. We had no money though. And I literally had to write her a report. She was a teacher. So she made me write her a little 3-page report on like what I was going to do and how it was going to make money. And so I wrote her this little 3-page report, and we ended up, she approved it. And we ended up starting a pathetic $2 a day Google Ads campaign. We didn't even have the money for it. We paid half the electric bill that month.
Wow.
Electric bill was like 120 or something. We paid half. I took $60, put it on Google Ads, $2 a day times 30. That's my pathetic little $2 a day campaign. doubled my money 11 months in a row because of that education that I got in my internship.
Wow.
Do the math, you double your money. So we started with $60, doubled our money 11 months in a row. Literally, my story is I turned $60 into six figures. And that is why ads are my thing, especially Google ads. Yeah, I like all of them. I've done them all, but it's ads that changed my life. It's ads that got me from ramen noodles to Red Lobster, I say on stage. They changed my life. They changed everything. It's what I can provide other people with. It's what I can provide my children. So ads are my thing. And that's why it is.
Yep. And so you ended up, when did you start? When did ad skills start, Justin?
Right. So dabbled in a lot of different things between 2007 to 2011. I ended up working with Rich Schefren.
Okay.
And when I was working with Rich Schefren, I was just kind of doing some side projects because I was broke. I was in between things, and but I still had a skill set in SEO back then. And so he brought me on and we did a couple of projects. And then I finally told him, I was like, hey, if you want, we could just do this full time instead of like per project. And so I became Rich Schefren's traffic guy. And that was the first time in my life that I had worked with someone with like established offers, the budget, and I was really able to like go into mastery. And it was great because if I lost, it was still a case study that he sold to his members. And if I won, it was a case study that he sold to his members, So like either way, there was nothing wrong I could really do. And so I had this freedom and this budget and this credibility to really allow me to master my craft. So 2011, 2013, I worked with him. Once I was his traffic guy, people wanted me to be their traffic guy. I built an agency. That was when I landed like Dan Kennedy, Ryan Dice. I worked with Frank Kern later on that, but like landed the biggest names, spoke on all the biggest stages because of that mastery that I was able to gain. I didn't start ad skills until 2015. I was over in Bali. I was trying to travel the world, be the internet guy and whatever, live the internet lifestyle. But I'm over in Bali trying to do 1 a.m. calls with the GKIC team, and I was like, this just isn't going to work. It's just too hard. So I actually handed off all of my customers to Jason Hornung.
Okay.
Most people. Yep. He's great. Trust him. I was like, dude, just give me a little piece of it and you can take it all. I needed change. And that was when we launched Media Buying Masters in Bali. The very first videos is I have a camera duct taped to a selfie stick. I didn't have any, I was in Bali. You don't have like gear out there, but I duct tape a camera to a selfie stick and you can hear the birds chirping in the background. I'm sitting by the pool and I'd make a 5-minute video at a time. I'd go into my wife. I was like, okay, what should I say now? What should I talk about? All right. I run outside by the pool, film another video. So that's when it kicked off. We ended up doing like $48,000 that weekend from Bali. If you're making $48,000 in a weekend in Bali, you're living like a king because the revenue, the currency is so different there. And so that's when we pivoted. And that was like the moment Ad Skills was born. It, was DMBI Online first. And then we paid a company, bought the Ad Skills brand and trademarks and all that. And that's how we birthed.
This is so instructive, especially for like, where right now our focus is kind of on relationships, and you just packed in a whole lot right there, Justin. But, because of the relationship that you had with Rich and that you started with Rich and that you had this freedom that like, no matter what you did, it wins, because win, lose, it's all win. and so you could just do your thing without having to be concerned about, I got to win all the time. And if I don't win, then it's a failure. No, you didn't have that. It was a win no matter what. And you just got to do your thing. You got to hone your craft. You got to get your 10,000 or how many hours in to just become truly an expert at that. And then when you are the expert that you are, well, people start coming out of the woodwork, because I'm sure they're like, well, dang, you're doing all this with Rich. I want you to help me. So you got Frank, you get Dan, you get all these other guys going, man, we want you to come help us. And like it, the power of relationships is so amazing, because you just like, you just be you, and you just show up, be you, complete with all of our faults and whatever. Because you know what, we all got them. We all got our challenges. We all got our problems. But you know what? We all got our gifts. We all got our unique abilities, as Dan Sullivan would say as well. And when we apply that, and when we can just be ourselves and just show up as us, one of my Jesse Elder, my buddy, always says, nothing to hide, nothing to prove. And when we can just show up that way and let people see the real us, that's what they're attracted to. They're attracted to the real us, the real you. That's why you got so much dang traction, man. And so,
thank you. I'd like to that point, I'd like to share with you something that Russell Brunson taught me a long time ago. So
all right.
When I was interning with him, the first time we stayed at a hotel together, I was like, okay, here's my chance to ask the maestro, like the question, we're alone in a hotel room. I could ask him whatever question I want. He can't go away because it's like 10:30 at night. So I was like, hey man, all right. So if you lost it all, how would you get it back? I asked him the question, that everybody always wants to ask a millionaire or whatever. So I asked him, and he said, it's the relationships. Because if I lost it all tomorrow, I could make 9 phone calls and have it all back. And he taught me that day that, make sure you're building the relationships before you need them. Because if you need to build the relationships when you're making those 9 calls, it's really, really tough. But if you built the relationships prior to that moment, you make those 9 calls, it's a done deal.
Yes. Yeah. That is huge right there. That is huge right there. And, you are so right. It's, and really for an entrepreneur, for a CEO, for a founder, the relationships are the most valuable asset we possess. And with the relationships, everything else, it gets easy. It takes care of itself. It works itself out. And like you said, when and if something drastic happens, and we really need help, we have now people that we can call on that they got our backs. They got our backs. And so, really appreciate you sharing that. Okay, so this is kind of cool, because I usually, when I'm doing these interviews, I have no idea who the person I'm interviewing is going to talk about as the person that's had such a, but you spilled the bag, you spilled the beans, whatever, before we started recording. And it's so cool. I think it's just awesome who you want to talk about. So I'm going to reiterate the question for everybody listening in. Have you ever been introduced to a person that completely changed the course of your life or your business? So much so that much of what you have today would not be possible if not for this person. And I am really excited to hear your story and your experience around this.
Awesome. Great. Thank you. Yes. And as we talked about, they're, all entrepreneurs, we're going to have a couple of people, it's probably not just one person, it's a couple of people. So, but everybody knows my story with Russ. Most people know my story with Rich. I've been very public about that stuff. Love you guys. Absolutely keys to my life. But there's one guy who I don't feel I talk enough about. And I should, and this is my opportunity. And that is Travis Sago. Travis Sago is that guy who I was introduced to in kind of a weird way a long time ago, and is, at the point of my life where I would feel completely secure just handing him my credit card, trusting him, just do what you wish. I've just worked with him for so long, and I'm so comfortable with him, and I've made so much money from his stuff that, literally the other day, like you were talking about, I saw he was offering something that I didn't have. And I was like, whoa, how do I buy this? And he's like, oh, it's probably not for you. And I was like, give me the link, man. And so I went and I read 3 lines of the sales page. And I was like, yes, swipe, done, bought it. It's not even something I need right now, but I just, I want to have everything that Travis Sago makes and produces, because it's done so well for me in my lifetime. So where do we go from here? You want me to talk about how we met?
Exactly. Yeah. How did you guys meet? Yeah. Let's start there.
We met in a forum. years ago, years and years ago, probably right after the Russell Brunson, in between Russell Brunson and Rich Schefren. Um, there's a website out there called Wealthy Affiliate. No promo or anything, no relation to them. They still exist. They're good. But it was a forum mostly, and met him in there. He was the bum marketer. That's, everybody knew him as bum marketing. He had this bum marketing articles business. This is the time of like e-zine articles, go articles. Everybody's writing articles and trying to make like $2 a day from each article. So if you could write 100 articles and you're making $2 a day per article, you're making $200 a day. It was a grind. All you young guys today that you get to start up with all these with ClickFunnels. There was no ClickFunnels. WordPress was on like WordPress 1.0. We had these like e-zine articles and go articles. And so I learned he was in the forum, and he was kind of one of the top guys in this forum. Everybody was respecting him. He was kind of a little bit ahead of all of us. Who else was there? Ryan Moran.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So me, Ryan Moran, and Travis Sago were crushing it in this like Wealthy Affiliate forum. We grew up together. Travis Sago was a little bit more like the dad to me and Ryan, the two kids, the two college kids. I think we were both in our 20s at the time. And Travis was a little older, and we used to meet up at his house every once in a while. He'd have some things. There was another guy named Matt Davis. But yeah, we hung out in this forum. That's where we met. And he was, creating what was popular in this forum were these like follow alongs. And so somebody would start a project, and then every day or every couple of days, they would update the thread, and people would get to ask questions. And so that was huge. There was all these follow alongs, and then you could start your own follow alongs. And that was how you got popular in this forum. And he had the best follow alongs. He had like months and months worth of these follow alongs that you would go in and you'd read them, and you'd spend 18 hours reading the whole like last year of follow alongs and these things. And we got to be pretty chummy. We started doing some private messaging, and I started making some money with his methods. And so I became a little bit of a story. He would share, hey, this guy did this. I was his testimonial, basically. Yeah. Me and Ryan Moran, we were his testimonials. So that's where I met him. Where do we go from here? Should I talk about some of the different things we've done? My greatest lesson.
Talk about some of the big things that have transpired as a result of your guys' relationship.
Right. So Travis, he's not really, he's not a speaker. I think he's done a couple of interviews. I was begging him to get on social media forever. And I was like, dude, you are like the perfect guy for social media. And he has such a great social media now. And I told him for years, I was like, your character, the way you talk, your content, your products, like you're just so perfect for social media. And he's like, no, I'm just Travis, and I just write these articles, and that's what I do. And that's what I love about him, is he is what he is. And some people think his character is too extravagant. There's like no way. He's like, I'm telling you, that's Travis, or Trav. Yep. That's Trav. He is what he sounds like. He is that. He literally talks like he writes. So he's not very popular in that aspect, but he's made money for a lot of the biggest, biggest names. He's really, his skill set is copywriting, but specifically like email copywriting and relationship building copywriting. And so the biggest lesson I've ever learned from him, without giving away his whole thing, is he has this T3 system, and he always named everything's differently named in the Travis Sago. There's a whole different vocabulary. Mm-hmm. There's like the child, the adult, and the parent. There's the T3, there's the Rainmaker system, there's the second helping campaign. Everything is different names, in the Travis Sago world. And the only people that talk it is the Travis Sago tribe. Yeah. He's got a great Facebook group. You can look him up. Mojo, I think it's called Mojo. Yeah. Email Mojo. And you can Google him. You'll find some stuff. But this T3 system is a really incredible email system where you send 3 emails and make tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars. 3 emails, you send 3 emails, and I think the least I've ever made was like $21,000.
Huh?
3 emails,
Yeah.
$21,000. Okay. It's incredible. This is why I say, like, I will just give him my credit card. It's better in your hands than mine. So here you go. So this T3 system, basically, in a nutshell, the first email is basically like a hand raiser. It's an introduction. It's an announcement. Hey, I'm doing this thing. Here's a couple of the results. It's not this. It's not this. It's not that. If you want more information, hit reply. Basically, email number 1. Oh, and by the way, T3 stands for tap, tap, tap. He always got these analogies and these metaphors. It's wonderful.
They are.
There's so much flavor and texture and character in the Travisego world. It's so fun. I like, if I had more time, I would love to write a book about this guy and like his language and his methods and the way he thinks. And so T3 stands for tap, tap, tap. And basically the principle is this is for people who are close to the hole. It's this analogy of golf. You have some marketing campaigns that are meant for like, you're at the tee and you're trying to hit it all the way across. That's not a T3 system. The T3 system is you're putting it, like it's on the greens and you're just trying to get the customer who's almost there in the hole or in the sale, and that's what it's about. So T1 is this email that you try to just get people to hit reply. T2 is kind of a qualifier. So it's like, oh man, they're hot and bothered. Yeah, tell me more. I want to know more. And you kind of pump the brakes on them a little bit. And this email, you're qualifying. You're asking a few very key questions. And this is the part I'm not going to give away. This is kind of a little bit of the secret sauce of the whole thing. I don't want to give away his stuff. But you ask a few key qualifying questions, such as, why now is this? And basically what happens is if they answer, so you're trying to get about 100 people to reply. If we get 100 people to reply and we can get, 20 to 50 of them to reply to the questions, then we're going to get, 5, 10, 20 sales from it. So it's numbers based.
Yep.
So if they answer these questions, they've basically just sold themselves, because they've, why now? What's your goal? All that. They have just poured their heart out to you and essentially sold themselves on this. And then the T3, you tell them what you got. And in a very simple way, his latest thing is to send you just a Google Doc. No sales pages, no webinars. Guys, okay, we are selling $15,000, $25,000 programs all day, hundreds of us, okay, they're proven across all these different niches. We are selling 5-figure programs from a Google Doc.
Yeah.
From
no webinars, no sales phone calls, none of that stuff.
None of that. I ain't got time for that. I'm trying to play video games and watch YouTube. So I do it every once in a while. I'm a little bit of the black sheep in the group because I do sales calls and some of these things, but I do both.
And
they both work.
He lets you stay in even though you get on the phone with people.
Yeah. So, but if I had to rely on anything, this T3 system has made me just hundreds of my best ever. We did a campaign together. We did a Rainmaker, which is a 30-day thing. And we did like $250,000 in 30 days with his Rainmaker program. My best ever on the T3, I think was $71,000.
Nice.
In 3 emails, 71,000. That's nothing to shake a stick at, man. That's pretty good. So that's the T3 system. Really, the biggest thing that's changed my life with Travisego is that T3 system. But got my first sale from the whole bum marketer, e-zine articles. I was marketing a little anxiety program. My first sale online, wrote a little article, got my first sale of a ClickBank product. And so, yeah, he's been a major part of my life and just so thankful to him. Such a blessing, so much flavor and character, memories. And
that is so awesome. I don't usually do this on these interviews, but I'm going to make an exception here because Travis had a major impact in my world too. And, all that I do now, back in 2017, I was wanting to host this event for some high-end marketers and business owners and entrepreneurs, like, well-established entrepreneurs is what I wanted to do. Because I had this vision of like, okay, if I could get a group of these guys and gals together, and I just did it right here at my home, right on the other side of this wall. And I was like, I want to do it differently. I want to be the guy who chooses who comes. And then by the way that I'm going to set it up and the way that I'm going to run this whole thing, they're really going to make connections with each other on a much deeper level than they have been at any other thing they've ever gone to, And Travis was he was number one person that I ever talked to that I said, hey, I'm thinking of doing this thing. And I just wanted to share it with you because I wanted to see if this is something that you feel that you would get value from. And I was like really foggy on what it was going to be because I'd never done it before. I did my best to explain the vision that I had in a few minutes with Travis. And Travis is like, Kevin, are you open to some feedback? And I'm like, heck yeah. And he's like, okay. He's like, I'll tell you what, he's like, I live in Russellville, Arkansas. He's like, I am an hour away from my airport on my end. He's like, you're an hour away from your airport on your end. He's like, so that's an all-day thing for me to get to you. It would be an all-day thing for me to get home. He's like, I'm not really that big on traveling, Kev. He's like, I'm just a homebody, man. He's like, but I would totally come. If you did something like that, I would totally come to that. And he's like, heck, he's like, Kev, I'd come and hang out just with you. But he's like, the fact that you are so intentional about who you're going to invite to this thing, he's like, I would totally come. And so he was number one that just gave me that vote of confidence. And over the course of the next 2 days, I spoke with a total of 6 people. One of them was Jesse Elder too. Actually, this guy, Garrett Gunderson, who I'm getting ready to interview later today. He was one of those 6, and all 6 of those people said, Kev, if you do this, I'll come to it. And so it really, those guys put their faith in me. And when I couldn't, because it was all new and I just had a vision of what I wanted to see happen. But it was not proven or anything, but they all put their faith in me because of the relationship that we already had. Kind of like what you said in the very beginning, when you have the relationships, and then now you can just have these candid conversations and say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this thing. And I just wanted to find out if this would be valuable, if you feel you would benefit from this. And they gave me that vote of confidence. Reality, later that year, August of 17 was when we did the first event. I had 15 entrepreneurs that flew in for this. And honestly, Justin, that morning, I'm sitting in my living room getting ready to start this thing, and I'm going, holy shit, look who's sitting in my living room. So I was nervous and excited all at the same time. But that launched me in a whole new direction that prior to that, I was not even doing what I get to do now. But number one person was Travis, that I spoke with. And
that's awesome. Do I have time to tell another story about
that? Absolutely. Go right ahead.
Okay. So this one, not marketing, not business. I was out at his house and we were talking, and he's actually the guy who got me to quit smoking cigarettes. Long time ago. He was telling me the story of how he just had to, so like the hardest part is like you quit, but then you come back and you quit and you come back, and most cigarette smokers, you keep a pack stashed away somewhere. You're not really quitting if you got a pack stashed away somewhere, like just in case you didn't really quit. And so like he had kind of really beat it into my mind about how like if you get past the 3-day mark, the 3-day mark is when you have the whole, like the withdrawals are gone, the biological processes are over, and now it's a psychological process that if you can just get past that, he's like, I just had gotten to it so many times that I realized like I just didn't want to go through those 3 days again. Those 3 days are so miserable to just, to get through that withdrawal, that is like, I'm just going to quit just so I don't ever go through those 3 days again. And that stuck in my mind. And so the next time I was feeling strong and was ready to go through those 3 days, I kept that idea in my mind of like, if I can just get through 3 days, I can stop forever, because I'll never want to do those 3 days again. And I'm sitting here with, I don't even remember. It's got to be like 14, 15 plus years,
Nice.
maybe longer than that. So
Nice.
thank you, Travis.
Yeah, that is cool. That is cool. Well, Justin, man, I really appreciate you sharing what you did, because like I said, my goal for this is, for these podcasts is that people like yourself get to share your story and your experience around this. We get to honor somebody pretty dang awesome. And it's awesome this time because it's like somebody, we got to honor somebody that both of us just totally love,
Yeah.
And on the other side of the coin, anybody listening to this, my goal for you is that this just will inspire and motivate you to place a more intentional focus on creating more real, meaningful, rewarding, and profitable relationships in your life. And, Justin, for anybody listening to this, man, going, man, Kevin, man, I really love Justin. I love the way he shows up. If they want to find out more about you and the stuff that you're doing, how can they go about doing that?
My company is Ad Skills. We teach advertising, all the different YouTube, Google, TikTok, all the different advertising. But what I would tell you to do first is go on YouTube and search Justin Brooke, or search Justin Brooke interviews. I got a ton of free content out there.
Okay.
So see if you like the free content first, see if you even like the way I talk, the way I dress and whatever. If you like that, then come on over to Ad Skills. It's only $20, so.
Nice.
Love to have you. You like the free stuff, you'll love the paid stuff.
Awesome. Any last words before we call it a wrap, Justin?
No, just thank you for giving me this opportunity to really pay tribute to Travis. Travis, I love you, bro. You've really changed my life in a deep way, health and financial. So love you, bud. Thank you.
I'll second that. We both love you, Travis. So, all right. Thanks again, Justin.